Welcome back, guys, to the World Championship Series Europe Premier League, as we now enter our final series of the night here for Group A. It's going to be Nerchio versus Stephano.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This was a great series to start off the day, or earlier on today. And it's also been a great series throughout all of StarCraft. When these two players meet, they've met a lot of the time. And Stephano has come out 6 games to 2 now, if we include that last one. And he's overall got a pretty good head-to-head against Nerchio. But Nerchio knows exactly what he's got to do. Can he do it? He has to stop Stephano before it's too late.
Yep.
And as silly as that sounds, unless you can fight fire with fire, which doesn't seem to be the case for Nerchio, who is a Zerg who won't use the Swarm host at all in any matchup, that's not going to be the case, is it? So some may say Stephano is the king of Heart of the Swarm host.
Yes. I agree. I agree completely. He is. The one cool thing about this matchup is, as much as it's been like there and prevalent throughout the whole of StarCraft 2 up until the point where Stephano retired, is that there's a contrast more so than ever before between these two guys because of the way in which now this matchup plays out, and because Nerchio has a timer above his head for the whole time. So it's really interesting to watch. And again, if we see games like Habitation Station, I'm very happy, because the way in which Nerchio was playing that before he died was really cool.
Well, I would not like to be the party pooper here, but Habitation Station was removed by Nerchio.
No. I wonder why.
Exactly. Does not want to be playing on that map again, especially after what happened last time. So that has been removed, and I think we may see some maps that are going to be a little bit more difficult for Swarmos to be effective on, I think. The first map here is going to be Merry-Go-Round. I haven't really seen Stephano play on this map too much, so we'll have to see. You know, in theory, Swarm host will work on any map, so I'm sure he'll put that into practice.
Yeah, I mean, if he just positions the Swarm hosts on his near his natural ramp, you can. I mean, you can even technically have them in the mineral line, but it's by the by. Natural ramp seems more better here on this map, and then just rally them towards all the expansions. You're going to be okay here in Stephano's shoes, I think.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely going to be a Swarm host versus non-Swarm host game here. But I think that Nerchio may take the game or try to take it even earlier than before. Like Zergling-Baneling fights really early on to try and win it fast.
Alrighty. Well, without further ado, we can get into our final series of the day. It's going to be Nerchio versus Stephano. We had it once before today, as Stephano was able to prevail 2 games to 1. Now will Nerchio be able to kind of change it up? Or will Stephano move on forwards again?
Stephano definitely needs to upgrade his computer.
Yeah, I'm sure he had that problem before he retired as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into it. As we have spawning up to the north, top right-hand corner here as our blue Zerg, it is Evil Genius's Stephano. And up to the top left, we have our red Zerg. It is Acer Nerchio.
All right, this is going to be a good series. I'm very much so looking forward to this one. I've said that multiple times today. They've played on this map already, and this is the map where we saw Nerchio try that very fast Zergling speed rush against Stephano, and it almost worked.
Almost.
It really did almost work, but Stephano held it like a boss. Like a boss. And it was really well done. And this is going to be our last series of the day. Remember, this is a fight for 2nd place in today's group. And there is the good luck, have fun, Nerchio. I think a lot of people and Stephano fans like, he always says the player's name after he says good luck, have fun. That's what I really miss about Stephano. And he has said that there, so, you know, that is the real Stephano you're seeing.
And Nerchio was doing it before as well in the previous series. He said Ilias. But now, no fun allowed.
No fun. This is serious business. This is 3rd and 2nd place. Almost said 4th there. You know, 2nd and 3rd place decided here. And it is WCS points. It is money. It is coming to Germany and hanging out with Kalaris. It is a lot of things. So you definitely want to be winning this game. And it is only a best of 3. You do have room for error in a best of 3. It's not a best of 1 where this game decides everything. You do have a little bit of adaptation to put into your game.
And from Stephano's side of things, exactly the same build, exactly the same positioning here on this map. So, but Nerchio, no.
Yeah, hatch, spawn and pull, followed should be followed shortly by a gas here from Stephano. Very hard to play gasless on this map because of the ramp we talked about. And we have Nerchio going spawner pool, then hatch, then gas just a little bit after. So same gases for both players, just a bit of a switch up when it comes to their initial building, hatchery or spawning pool. And you do favor Stephano a little bit. It is slightly more risky in terms of you not having the spawning pool queen and links out in time if there was to be aggression. But overall, it's not the biggest of differences here. Just a small slight edge.
So we'll see what Nerchio plan's gonna be. I'm under the impression it will be more geared towards the kind of mid game that we were seeing from game number 1. Because I mean, in terms of how the previous series shaped up, Nerchio had much more command over that game than any other one. So. Well, obviously, because he won it, but that was really where he hit home. So I think that going back to that would be his best strong suit here against Stephano.
Yeah, it definitely has to be. We have 6 lings coming out from Stephano, which is a little bit weird. You don't really see that too often. With 6 lings here, he can shut down scouting from Nerchio, which I think is a big part of this, because Nerchio hasn't... Well, okay, I say that, and then he ring-arounds the hatchery and gets himself in anyway. But also, he gets to go to the other side of the map to maybe get a drone kill. With 2 lings, you could probably scout, but with 3 or more, you may be able to get a drone kill.
Yep. Gets one of those lings on the way out, but again, they got the intel that they needed. Speed and speed with the Baneling nest going down at the back of the mineral line here for Nerchio.
Yeah, trying to hide that a little bit more. More so than Stephano, who's just like, whatever, it's at the front.
Yeah.
He could type it in chat. That's how obvious where, you know, where the Baneling... He's, by the way, Baneling nest is at the front. He doesn't care about hiding it here.
Yep, chilling out. Doing everything very Stephano-esque, and... Is he going to send his few lings up here and really not get any positioning?
Yeah, when are we going to see the first commitment to lings? Spinecrawler comes in for Nerchio, so it looks like he's going to sit back a little bit here. Spinecrawler is a great partner to the Queen here at defending against Banelings, which seems that he might be anticipating a little bit here while he continues to drone. But is Stephano with these overlords popping?
Ooh, 3.
Building lings or drones?
Ling, ling, ling.
So 10. It is going to be Stephano who's going to put a bit of pressure on. A bit of pressure because he's building another queen, by the way, which means that he does have plans to chill out as well.
Ling, ling, ling.
But I do like the defender's position always in these scenarios. Just depends on how much of a defense you have. And so far, we only have a Zergling that can be morphed from Nerchio. And a couple more coming back home to defend.
Yeah, I mean, the way in which this helps out, like if Nerchio controls the defense as well as Stephano did in the previous game, this Spinecrawler helps out so much more with the position that it's got there as well. So I don't see really Stephano doing a whole lot here unless he gives us amazing control.
Defender's advantage, you need a critical mistake, and this is a good start.
Yeah.
He does have links popping out, which should be okay, but if he loses the queen...
If he gets that... No.
Ooh, it's going to be close.
Good control, keep it
alive.
Nice. Oh.
And he, well, I thought he was going to hit the lava inject then right away, but yeah, good control.
Yeah, this is...
a lot of lings out now.
Nice.
It's a little bit of game of tug and war when it comes down to building lings and defending and then being aggressive, because you just build a bunch to defend, the defense is over, so you go and use them for aggression. And, you know, look at Nerchio, he's got higher drones and also higher lings, so he's in a bit of a better position, but he doesn't have tech when it comes to the layer.
And these lings going to try and go into the natural again. There are Banelings morphing on the ramp. He doesn't want to commit too far because he knows that those... Well, he didn't see them start morphing in, so he can't really fully anticipate when they're going to be hatching. Yeah.
I prefer Nerchio's position. It was Stephano who edged out first for the first attack. It didn't really do that much. He didn't get the queen. Nerchio defended with minimal losses. He's in a pretty good position. He's got his Carapace coming in. He's got his Roach layer and third on the way. When Stephano has that kind of on the way, but without the third base. So we've talked about that a lot already today.
And I think that's a lot of Banelings that Nerchio is actually bringing forward to the party. Gotta be careful. He separates 2 back for 2.
He removes Stephano's Banelings there.
Yeah, there's one more waddling back. Ooh. Be careful. All right, 1 for 1 again. 1 for something. And then 1 for another few.
Trading off.
Yeah. But
the
the
links coming across here, and they're going to deny this third over and over. Stephano, he has to be taking a third at this moment.
Yeah.
He is adding on a lot of roaches, which is going to increase his army value. But likewise, we see Nerchio with a layer, roach speed, and roaches of his own. So it's not like Nerchio has something that Stephano doesn't. he has exactly the same, if not more. So he's in great position.
Yeah, Link's still pressuring a little bit. They don't want to really overstay their welcome, but I think because of the way in which this map works out, because Nerchio's natural third is always further away from him, while Stephano's natural third is kind of towards the middle of the map, these positions work out really well for Nerchio.
Overall, Nerchio's winning a lot of small skirmishes and is gaining more and more leads in this game. He's added on a lot of Roaches, Claris.
Yeah.
If we see Nerchio use that third for only production, and Stephano starts to maybe drone a little bit towards his own third or something along the lines.
Still another denial.
Yeah, another denial. With another denial, Nerchio's building Roaches to defend against maybe a 2-base shove from Stephano, who's very capable of just moving out because he cannot build drones toward a third that isn't there. So Nerchio needs to have a decent amount of units there to defend. But we see +2 attack and the Infestation Pit coming in for Stephano. Probably go for Infestors first. Once again, it's just a bit of a safer option, maybe. Rather than going for the Locust straight away.
But here comes Nerchio with a lot of Roaches.
And he's using that third base production. Like, really just utilizing the fact that his third's down and Stephano's isn't. Stephano may get pushed back to 2 bases.
And then what do you do? Well, I guess you sit there with your Infestation Pit and then keep going, I guess. But still, not the best of positions here for Stephano. He's got to be very, very wary of this huge push that's about to come from Nerchio.
Yeah, Nerchio like pushes back Stephano's Roaches, then cuts off the third, kills the third, and then joins back together. Nice movement.
Yeah, a bit of static defense being raised here, but at the same time, that might not matter as the Roaches are going to start dwindling in numbers. Yeah. The reinforcements, yes, will pop very, very close to this, but one spine falls. Second spine fall is going to fall very soon. He's actually moved out of range of the extra static defense so that he can try and overwhelm this position, but he does get pushed back for a second.
This is a losing position so far for Stephano, who's trying to turn this around.
Oh, Roach Moran. Oh, you got to be careful. You do not want to be losing that at this position when it's Roaches versus Roaches.
Well, it's time to drone for Nerchio, I think. It's going to be hard to break Stephano on 2 bases when he's going Swarm Host.
Yeah. These Roaches going to continue on with the battle. A few at the front there for Stephano. Very, very weak. Wants to try and pull those back. But again, he's looking to try and get that Roach Warren. Stephano, he might be better just kind of, well, okay, he's not going to risk it.
So here comes a massive surge of drones, probably from Nerchio with taking the gases, so that he can go up to the Hydralisk Den and probably look for another smash.
Yeah.
Once Stephano tries to edge out to take a third. Stephano is not going to stay on 2 bases. He will sit back and defend for now until he has Swarm Host where he cannot die, and then will crawl down. When the Locusts give him a bit of room to spread creep, the Locusts go first, then the creep, then he'll take a third. As he takes a third is when Nerchio's going to come smashing in. And I think this is very similar to Game 1 when they played earlier, a position where Nerchio should be looking to kill this. It's very difficult for Stephano from this position.
Yeah, Nerchio's just played the Constriction game brilliantly once again. And from here on out, this superior economy is always going to fuel him very nicely. He's constantly positioning himself around his third base. These Locusts aren't really doing a whole lot, but buying Stephano incremental bits of time. And then, yeah, maybe eventually he can get that third base up, but it might just be too late.
Instead of the Hydralisk Den, we do see the Infestation Pit and, surprisingly, a Nidus Worm. This probably is just to reinforce all his units right outside the front base of Stephano, more so than trying to get inside the main base here. Just get faster reinforcements because he is quite far away and to make sure that he stops Stephano from taking that third. I do like the choice of the Infestors. I don't really care if it's Infestors or Hydralisks as long as it's something here.
Yeah.
Just get units over there and max out. Use the advantage, as we've talked about over and over and over today, that Nerchio has, the economy. Build a lot of units, throw them at Stephano, then go for a kill. And he's actually gone for Swarmers of his own.
Wow.
He's going to fight fire with fire, but it's like fire and water versus fire, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's got such a lead where he's going to have simply more stuff than Stephano. Like you said, it doesn't matter what he builds, as long as he just builds a lot of stuff at Stephano and keeps him on 2 bases or kills him if he takes a third.
And he could probably overwhelm Stephano's Swarm Host numbers, right? With the production he has behind this.
Yes.
So, you know, it's 11 Swarm Hosts against 5 right now, but 5 extra are going to pop. They're always going to have more.
I mean, in a game of StarCraft, economy is everything. Like, the whole game is balanced around the economy. Like, if in an ideal world, if you could go 6 hatcheries before anything, you would. But you can't because you need to defend against specific attacks. So the economy is everything. Nerchio is everything in this game because he has that lead and a big one when it comes to it too. So it really doesn't matter. He's going for the main base here.
Yeah.
I thought he'd maybe use that for reinforcements, but...
I mean, even if it's just for a few roaches, it's such a hazard and an annoyance.
He's going swarm host inside the main base.
Is he actually? What?
Yeah.
Did he put those in there?
In the lead that he's in, he's capable of doing anything. And I think he also is toying around a little bit with his food here.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, mocking Stephano.
Well, it's working out for him all right. There's a few roaches here as well. He's going to have to sacrifice this main base. That hive is going to die. The morphing in hive is going to die. And that's a really, really bad spot for Stephano. But he's looking to shark around in the middle of the map with burrowed roaches, which did put him in a good spot earlier.
And in the middle of the map, I think he may have seen it or had anticipated it, not knowing where his opponent's army is. So he's got back in the Nanoswim. But this is a very, very strong statement from Nerchio in this game. Very strong.
Roach is just going to go everywhere and just unburrow in the mineral lines once again. But great play by Nerchio. Absolutely fantastic play, showing that, you know, he doesn't like swarm hosts, but if he wants to use them to solidify a position, then he certainly can. And,
I mean, Stephano's got roaches in all bases right now, and he's doing a lot of damage. He's bringing the drone count down. He's also killing the 4th, while taking the 3rd of his own to replace the main base that he's lost. And he has lost a lot in there. But this is a position from Nerchio. We've talked about it throughout this game. Is when Stephano must take a 3rd, which he has to, is when you just throw everything at him and then break him in the middle of the map because it's much more spread out. He doesn't have a ramp to defend up. And this is probably where Nerchio, after dealing with the harassment, will collect his units, throw it once again at that 3rd base, and push Stephano technically to 1 base.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I mean, this 3rd, it's going to fall.
There's no way he's stopping it.
Yeah, the roaches in the middle of the map, they're falling. The and Nidus Worm right next to the 3rd as well is going to reinforce considerably. And then from there, I mean, you know you're in a bad spot in Stephano's shoes when you're being sieged up from your own main, basically.
You're being sieged up from your main, your 3rd, and your natural.
Yeah.
Nerchio says, yeah, you beat me earlier on today, but I'm going to be the one that's going to the round of 16, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to put you in retirement. You're keeping that retirement home wherever you come from today. I'm going through, Stephano. You've actually got to play your heart out if you're going to stop me.
And this goes back to the strengths that we saw from Nerchio in game 1, you know, just that straight denying the 3rd, deny the 3rd, deny the 3rd, keep him pinned down. And it's worked wonders, even though swarm hosts have been a part of his instruments at the end.
All right, well, Stephano's still using board roaches really well. And he's managed to pull Nerchio down to 35 drones and is still dealing damage, which is remarkable considering he has limited tools and kind of options to choose from at this point. Which is, it's fascinating to watch. A player who is crippled deals so much damage with so little, which is a little bit scary and is almost a counter statement from Stephano after Nerchio's been messing around a little bit in this game with him.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I mean, Stephano, unfortunately for him, it's going to be another one of those situations where if he wins this, it's going to be like a really, really long game because of how pushed back he is into this 1 base.
Yeah.
And because Nerchio...
He is on 1 base.
Yeah.
Though he's on 1 base, the income between the both of them isn't that much different.
Yeah.
You think about it, look at it.
But the potential income is so great for Nerchio.
The potential income is crazy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of roaches hiding inside Nerchio's main base still. He spread them out, Stephano has, all over the place.
That's annoying. Wow. All right, well, they're going to just keep being pests.
And the goal for Nerchio is keep this guy locked away, and eventually I'll win out. Eventually.
Yeah. It's like that psycho
Stephano's goal is eventually I'm going to try and break out of this lockout, take my new base, and try to get back in this game.
Stephano is Hannibal. Basically?
Yes.
Keep him locked up. Don't let him out.
Don't let this guy get to where he wants to be, because if he does, he's going to wear your face.
Perfect. Well, a few more drones on the way for Nerchio because he needs to kind of get himself back up there somehow. Because he did lose a lot of drones. How many did he lose? 47 in total. But his army is so superior.
You know, in last season, there was the GIF made. Who was the Snoot?
Snoot was what?
Snoot was the face wearer.
He was Hannibal.
He was Hannibal. Oh my god, those GIFs were. I hope we see more of those this season.
Yeah, where's that guy? He needs to come back.
The
but even the round of
one
32
was amazing.
Yeah.
The Snoot one was hilarious. There was an MVP one as well, I think.
He needs to come back.
Yeah, dude. Stephano has 23 Swarmos to 15. What I would like to see is the way that I would like to see Nerchio end this one is to get Burrow, to get the Overlord speed movement, get a lot of Overseers with him, and just drop on the Swarm hosts.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
You know why? One of the reasons why Swarm hosts aren't so good against Bio is because you can pick up the Marines, drop them, scan, and kill.
Yeah.
Imagine that with Roaches.
I mean, he's getting pneumatized carapace. So
yeah, I'd love to see him get Ventral Sacks. I think it would be awesome.
I think he will do, you know.
Drop all the 40 Roaches that you have on top of what Stephano has on the natural. And there's not that much anti-air, so it's not like you're going to lose a lot.
As long as your Locust Wave ties in perfectly with it time-wise, then it just crushes.
Yeah.
Let's see what you can do. And there's not really that much anti-air to bring anything down. He's got 2 spores, a few queens.
But it looks like Nerchio's finally stabilized himself away from the harassment of Stephano, and now is focusing a little bit more and kind of tunneling his attacks better now, because he doesn't have to worry about these bored Roaches attacking him all the time. And he is starting to smash through these Locust Waves.
I can only imagine Stephano has the most fun in the world. Even in a game like this, he's like controlling all these Locusts. Look at him, like actually controlling the Locusts, trying to focus down that Swarmos, and he gets it. He's having a whale of a time, man. Look at him, he got another one. He's so happy right now. And another. He's actually focusing. Wait.
Yeah, he's trying his best, isn't he?
Jeez.
He is trying his best. He's been on one base pretty much all game. And to think that someone can do this from one base is pretty mind-blowing in itself.
Yeah.
The Swarmos count continues to rise. They almost cannot be killed. And Nerchio's just trying to use what we talked about, which is economy. But even though Stephano's been pretty much mining for 1 or 2 bases all game, he's still up at 170-odd supply.
Yep. Oh, there's another Nidus to reinforce right behind the Swarm hosts, just so that it doesn't die. And here come the Overseers for fun.
We were bound to have Swarmos versus Swarmos eventually in this season, right? Might as well get it out of the way with now.
Yeah, I guess so. Especially since it's kind of inevitable who's going to win this one, as long as Nerchio actually denies that 3rd base.
You can't let that mine up there.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I don't think he knows about it. Okay, he does.
He does,
He's definitely doesn't want to let that happen. Because that's when Stephano definitely can get back into it.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the supply versus the income that they have in the bank, it's not that much different. Then you think about the tech that they have, again, it's not that much different. So Stephano isn't incredibly far behind. And if he was able to establish that base up there, definitely could surprise you in this map.
Well, actually, you know, Roach numbers, oh no, he doesn't really have that many. As long as the transfuses are good, maybe he can hold on. Locust will help out too. Roach numbers thinning here for Nerchio. Stephano actually is going to win this fight.
Yeah, Nidus is there, it's going to help.
How many? Okay, he has a lot of Roaches in there. Quick, kill the Nidus. Oh, okay, they're Swarm hosts. Did he bring them all back from there? Okay, he did. He's pushing out these locations. If he were to come and
he
expand
is pushing
here,
these locations out. It's like a it's like a tower defense game.
Yeah.
Nerchio's like pushing these locations back. He's winning the tower defense, so he's able to take a new resource.
The endless waves of locusts just continue.
Look at the supplies. It's just
they're actually evening
It's
up,
funny
Sean.
because Nerchio lost a lot of drones and stuff, but he never really put them back. He's still only at 49.
Yeah.
So.
Income, let's... okay.
Nerchio must keep Stephano away from that north base.
Yeah.
It is vital for the game that Stephano does not mine from that base, otherwise Stephano's going to make a comeback.
I'm surprised that this base has gone down so late, and actually that's slightly out of place.
Yeah, Nerchio definitely could have worked on his economy a little bit more, but he felt that he didn't need to, and maybe underestimated the power of Swarm hosts.
Yeah, even though he has some
He was
himself.
like, all right, I'm going to Nidus in the main, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to build an army, I'm going to win.
And there's a reason Stephano's the best at this, right?
He understands it the best.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's not actually using these locusts to focus down other locusts. He's using them thinking that these ones will time out. He was trying to push forward, says he has an overseer there, to focus down swarm hosts. There was that to a T, unless he was just move commanding, which was weird. And look at this.
Again, another assault by Stephano. He's making this work.
Yeah.
And that is enough, more than enough Roaches to pick those units off on the left-hand side. I like it how Stephano is working with such a low drone count. He has open supply to do these moves.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
At least I never said I was going to eat my hat for this game.
No, you're right.
I didn't say that one. But this is going to be very, very frustrating for Nerchio if he loses this.
Of course.
He was on 4 bases to 1 base.
He was powering through this game wholeheartedly. He was in the lead, uncontested.
And he's probably questioning why he played Swarm Host. And I think when I was reading a lot of opinions and stuff on Reddit, and even tweets that I made today.
GG!
Yeah!
GG!
Stephano will drag you down and then beat you with experience. And Nerchio went there with him.
It's like, I'm going to hell, you're going with me, my friend.
He didn't need to play Swarm Host. Remember at the point when Nerchio was making the decisions on what units to make? I thought it was going to be Infestors. It could have been Hydralisk, but he chose Swarm Host. It didn't need to be any. It could have been anything.
Wow.
Could have been Mulisks. It really didn't matter what he used. But he decided Swarm Host, and Stephano beat him with experience.
And arguably, you know, if he'd have gone something like Mutalisks, for example, with a limited amount of income, those Mutalisks could have kept dancing around everywhere, doing...
Nerchio's going to be a little bit angry at that game because that was his. Like I said throughout the game in the commentary, I almost felt that the way that he was playing was a statement to say, you know, I'm winning easily.
Yeah.
And I'm going to beat you with your own unit kind of thing because that's not his unit. Mm-hmm. But that's how the cookie crumbled in today's first map between these two players. And, you know, it's going to be not a nice aftertaste, let's say, for Nerchio now.
That is astonishing to me. That's
going to be pretty frustrating.
Oh, well, we're going to go into game number 2 now between these two guys. And in a interesting turn of events, after seeing the start of that game, Stephano is 1 game away from advancing to the round of 16.
When he almost shouldn't be. Like, he almost shouldn't be.
No, I agree.
All right, well, he is, though.
But yeah, that's how it is. Stephano is 1 game away from Premier round of 16. So, crazy game, crazy game, and it's going to be on Overgrowth here. I think that this is another map where Nerchio can infuse his style on, you know, Roaches, Hydralisks everywhere, denying that 3rd base, transitioning onto that Roach Hydralisk play, because there are many angles to hit.
I definitely feel, if you look at the spectrum of a Zerg versus Zerg, of the game length from beginning to end, is Nerchio isn't leaps and bounds, but has edges over Stephano in the early and mid game.
Yes.
I think every single game they've played today, Nerchio's had a lead and then either finished it or didn't finish it. Mm-hmm. Every single game, he's won the early and mid game because he plays that better than Stephano currently. And to be honest, for a lot of their history together, I think Nerchio's kind of always played that part of the game really well. But when it comes to the breaking point of when it turns into Swarm Host, he either wins the game there and then with the advantage he has, or he doesn't, and Stephano wins.
Yeah, it's a good breakdown of how this matchup between these two guys is going, because right now, if Nerchio does not win this game or win this series, he continues losing against a player that he has had arguably, you know, not a direct rivalry with, but an indirect rivalry with, because they were the two Zergs in Europe for the longest time, right? So he needs to win. He actually just needs to win.
Stephano went straight over to Twitter, by the way, which I did just look before he joined this game, and he said, even I don't know how I win.
There you go. There you go, guys. This is WCS
and now
Europe.
Imagine just Nerchio sitting there in his chair saying, I hate you.
I can imagine it completely.
Being on the brunt end of what Stephano is giving you like that.
Yeah. Jeez. All right. Well, we're loading up into game number 2. Overgrowth is our map. Stephano leads 1-0. And if he gets one more map, he advances to the round of 16. This
knocks Nerchio out here.
This is real. This is actually real. This is happening. Let's jump into game number 2 and find out if Stephano can close it out. Crazy. Crazy stuff. Let's get on with it. Spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner. XD, GLHF. It is Nerchio representing Team Acer. And up to the top right, it is Stephano representing Evil Geniuses. Why did you leave? This is going to answer... okay. That is not how the game started, that's for sure. Less eco, less swarm hosts.
Did you see the thing that I retweeted before?
No. That's it.
Day of the Swarm Host. It's got Stephano laughing
God.
and then Nerchio's face. That is how I envision these two players looking right now.
Yeah, yeah, completely. Jeez.
If you haven't seen it, just go to Twitter. You'll find it. It's very funny what I retweeted because it is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
This is Nerchio saying he sucks.
Wait, what did he just say? How do I find it? F11?
Yeah.
F11. Let's see, and my time is precious. Okay. Oh. Okay. All right. Maybe one last game, but Nerchio has the entire wealth of ability to be able to tie this up. And if he doesn't, I will be perplexed. And there you go. All right, spawning pool against hatchery first here from Stephano.
Absolutely needs to capitalize on his leads. That's the way to win this series. Even though Stephano is going to make it very, very difficult, you have to see that window of opportunity and you have to hit it. And that is a problem with a lot of people who are playing StarCraft casually as well. Not in the aspect of that you're playing versus Swarm Host, you need to win at a specific time. Is that a lot of people find themselves in a position to win the game, but don't win the game, and then they've lost that winning position. You'll notice Korean players at the higher level, when they have a winning position, they will end it.
Oh, yeah, push for the win.
They will end it straight away, push for the win. They know they've got the chance to win it, and they will win it. But what happens a lot in especially the European and American scene, I do see more often through watching a lot of Pro League and GSL, is that there are opportunities which aren't always given because maybe they don't quite understand that they can end it there and then. It is a hard thing to do, and definitely you sometimes sit back a little bit too much.
And, well, both of these players now, they've confirmed their hatchery timings. So, unfortunately, on a map like this, it's very difficult to actually send the Overlord in to the main base because by the time you get in there, spawning pool's finished, Queen's on the way. So it's difficult to get the gas timings with Overlords unless something bizarre is going on. But so, unfortunately, they're going to have to use their initial lings to really find that out. And Nerchio's already on the way with the 2.
Whew, what a day one.
It's weird. WCS Europe always starts with a bang.
It does. It really, really does. All right, so as we can see, these two builds are shaping up now. It's pretty much the same. Nerchio wins out, so it's 1-1 in pistol rounds today. Yeah. It's pretty much the same builds every single time they've played today. With the spawning pool or hatch first into the gas, into Zergling speed as we see. And from this point, the next 50 gas is usually dedicated. Oh, he almost went for the 2-0 there. Yeah. That was close. Is usually dedicated, to the Bailey Nest, which Nerchio has thrown down. Missing from Stephano. Which is interesting. Until now. Okay.
And it's at the front once again.
Yes, it is.
And Zergling's going to see it. No, he's not. Darn.
Just out of vision.
Oh, wow.
So with the next Overlord that's popping, and as Zergling speed nears completion, you have the option to build a lot of Zerglings, which we could see from either side here to try to be aggressive. So
I think they both might do it with the
drones from Nerchio and drones from Stephano so far. So neither of them are going to build the lings at the appropriate time here. Both of them are going to tech up, which is probably favorable towards Stephano if you think about it, because he's the one that usually takes a loss in this part of the game. But if they're going into an equal stance, which they are, then overall, even though the game is equal, that should be helping Stephano because he's got the later and stronger different part of the game. Both going for the evolution chamber at the same time. They'll probably both start the layer very soon as well. They should have 200 gas, which is for an upgrade, and also for the layer usually. Whether it be carapace or missile attacks is up to them and the playstyle they want to play.
And interestingly enough, we now have that third base gone down for Nerchio already, very rapidly, and Stephano notices this. So how is he going to react? He reacted with the Roach War, and there's a lot of lings on the way for Nerchio because he's anticipating some kind of push coming at that third because he knows it's been spotted.
As much as we know they're in very similar positions until the upgrades start to change a little bit here, they don't know that.
Yes. So Lynx are going to position themselves outside the main. They can't really do a whole lot for now because Stephano has his Baneling in position to greet those. But he knows that there is no third. Nerchio knows that there is no third, so why really press the issue? Hey, he did lose a few Lings there.
Stephano has a bit of a better income.
But that will change. Like
soon, with that third getting up here, yep, absolutely. And both players heading up towards the lair here will, definitely be seeing Stephano move into a swarm host. Interested to see where Nerchio's going to take this from this point. The Roach Warrant finishes up. He's building 12 more Lings. This is probably to keep the pressure on with the units that he has out there to try and slow this third down a little bit. He's willing to sacrifice, a bit of his lava towards these units to put pressure onto Stephano's third to slow it down, to then have the overwhelming army through having 3 hatcheries down faster, which he's shown us throughout the game here. But, of course, while doing this, he's not having the best of income he could have if he wasn't building these units.
And Stephano's positioned himself well to greet any kind of threat at this third base, because he knows that's the point of contention. That's what's been important.
Ling's running to the natural here. There's 2 Banelings on the top of the ramp. Stephano's waiting for it.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't go up to the main base, though.
I figured he might try do this. Those Banelings were well positioned, and Stephano realized that, and he cleaned up pretty well there, I would say.
Nerchio is at 56 drones compared to 46, but about to be 55 for Stephano. So they're about to go to the equal economy, despite Stephano having a bit of a later third here. Production is in favor of Nerchio. And Nerchio now, what is he going to do? At this point, you have 2 options. Build a big army, try to do some damage, or drone up further, take your gases, and start to add on either the Infestation Pit or the Hydralisk Den. With the next Overlord and the next on top of those 5 Roaches, so 7 Roaches, 8 Roaches, he's building up an army. He's probably going to wait till speed is done and start to move out a little bit more to catch Stephano in a weaker state before his Swarm Hosts are ready, which the Infestation Pit's coming down for. Look-see here from Nerchio. Has a bit of look around. Did see drones being built and transferred, so far the light is green on Nerchio's end.
Yeah. And that Roach army is amassing back here. 22 Roaches right now against 10. If he just keeps powering that out.
On the left-hand side of the map, there's an Overlord moving for Stephano, and this is probably a very good Overlord movement, because I was going to say, if Nerchio was to swing around the left with that Overlord not there, get to the third, pop the third, then get out again, would have been a really nice move. But that Overlord position from Stephano is going to spot that. But Nerchio needs to move soon before the defense is set up for Stephano. 4 Spines, 10 Roaches. Pathogen Glands first before the Swarm Hosts. So,
and now just
solidifying 3 bases, which is the reason for the Pathogen Glands and Infestors.
37 Roaches against 17.
Here he's coming.
13 more are being added on. Pathogen Glands with those 2 Infestors, as you mentioned, are on the way. That's a lot of Roaches that we're seeing here from Nerchio.
Nice catch by Stephano. Yeah, pounces on a couple of Roaches before all the Roaches from Nerchio are there.
But that's still a lot of Roaches now moving through here for Nerchio. The reinforcements are very, very powerful indeed. Stephano somehow needs to keep these Spine Crawlers alive. One of them will end up falling. The Transfuser's not there in the end. Nerchio still has the numbers on his side here as he enters this fight.
Stephano's bringing over Spines here. He's realizing he's weak.
Yeah, he's got about double the Roaches of his opponent, does Nerchio, as he continues on those 2 Spine Crawlers, really not engaging in the battle just yet. And still the Roach numbers are in Nerchio's favor, but that's getting whittled down.
The one thing I've learned through watching Stephano in his career, he never misses lava injects in fights and is always able to produce high amounts of units and is able to keep this third alive for now. Infestors are coming out, which makes it more and more difficult for Nerchio to attack in, but he has a higher overall army supply and supply in itself. If he starts to split these Roaches up a little bit, he may be able to find another weakness in Stephano.
Could do. Tries to pounce on those Roaches once again as they move forwards. Unit counts here. Once again, Nerchio with the... Well, these Roach numbers in this fight are actually very, very even. There's also a Spine Crawler there. But the reinforcements for Nerchio, again, power on through. A few more Roaches hatching right here and now for Stephano, keeping these numbers pretty even. The Spine Crawler ends up falling. That Infestor gets a Fungal and moves straight back on out there. And Stephano's going to win this fight.
He wins another fight there. And you have to think the upgrades as well. It's 2-0 for Stephano versus 1-1 for Nerchio. And I do like having 2-0 over 1-1 here.
Yeah, you're right.
So that is something to just keep in consideration, but also more importantly, he's the defender, which means reinforcements get there faster. Plan B is going down from Nerchio, which is taking the gases and may try to drone up a little bit towards that base to maybe go for Hydralisk or something. Now, for Nerchio, Stephano's stabilizing, which means in the next few seconds, we're probably going to see Enduring Locusts. And that's when the pain is going to start to happen. Stephano, as soon as that upgrade is being researched, we can all look at each other and say Stephano's feeling very comfortable. Until that point, he'll build Roaches and Infestors to make sure he's safe.
And the way in which he's constantly greeting these armies is good. He can just fall back to these Spine Crawlers, keep himself in good position. A few Infested Terrans are going to litter the field because he doesn't have energy for proper fungal growth. Nerchio's Roaches, though, are going to be pushed back because the Spines and Infestors are there for the support. Oh, you don't want to chase too far there, Stephano, though.
Yeah, he still doesn't have quite the numbers there. He has to fall back on his defensive posture.
Yeah, he has to go back to those spines. Even if it's just one spine, it can make a lot of difference with those infested Terrans soaking up a bit of damage there. Nerchio, though, with the overwhelming numbers of Roaches. The reinforcements come out from Stephano once again, though. And the numbers very, very close.
It's interesting because Stephano has only 2 queens, and 1 queen's always in the battle. So I don't know how he's able to keep the lava high, like with Nerchio, who is not being disturbed in his lava production. But he's able to do so.
The numbers are in favor of Stephano here in this fight right now. It's because there's so many Roaches in the
stragglers.
mid. Oh, that's not good. But
all right,
it's
time for the upgrade.
So many Roaches are in the mid field, right? Because they can't reinforce quickly enough.
Yeah.
So that's where he's really finding his power. And look at the supply counts.
11 Roaches and 2 Infestors. Where's the upgrade? So the one thing that is in the back of my mind right now, and I'm thinking, is that Stephano doesn't necessarily need to use almost every single game. Imagine if Nerchio fell back, started joining up, started to switch tech and get greedy, take a fourth, and then Stephano hit him with an attack that wasn't expected.
Yeah.
That's definitely capable here, especially as Stephano's able to pick off more and more of these units. These Infestors have been very efficient.
I think the Roaches are still in favor, technically, here of Stephano. Nerchio gets pushed back again. The support is just too good for Stephano. He may not necessarily have more Roaches on the field, but in every single engagement, the Infestors are there. 1 Spine Crawler is there, but again, it still makes a difference.
Yeah, can't lose Infestors. Oops. Good fungal, though.
Yep, continues those on. I mean, that's going to really, really wear down these Roaches.
I think Stephano is going to defend, build up his energy count, and then counterattack here.
I mean, yeah.
I don't think he'll play Swarmos. I have that feeling.
Like, what do you do against 7 Infestors when you have no Infestors? Yeah. And the Roach numbers are exactly the same right now.
Yeah. Upgrades are starting to... Well, they are favoring Nerchio now. He's got 2-1 over 2-0 of Stephano, so he has that upgrade.
I think this is a desperate move, the Tunneling Claws, because he needs to find a way to do some damage, because he's not finding it currently with a straight-on engagement. He's trying to hit his head against a wall, and it's not working.
All right. Well... Stephano holds on for the time being. 4th base is down for Nerchio. Another assault from Nerchio, not going to work. There is so much energy now available. An attack would be, I mean, it could be game-ending if he lost a big chunk of Roaches here.
Yeah, and he's got to run away, because if he gets caught by a fungal on just a small portion of his army, then
I think, this is Stephano's going to bounce over a little bit here and try and use these Infestors. If he catches, like I said, a chunk of this army and kills it off, he'd be in an amazing position.
64 workers against 57, technically in favor of Nerchio, and he is maxing out. He needs to get all of his Roaches together, though. Can these 7 Infestors, or 8 Infestors, whatever there is, kind of make a difference against this army? I think they should be able to.
Well, with the economy that Nerchio has, we should be seeing, I imagine, you know, something of his own here, whether it be Hydras or Infestors soon enough. He is going to try and do some burrow movement like Stephano has done to him throughout the day, which is always good to do. I mean, it is the thing to do if you look at you know, the superstars in Korea such as Ro32 and Sulky.
Yeah, especially since also Stephano, for all of his burrow attacks, hasn't really taken precautions.
Ooh. Stephano being a bit having a bit of tunnel vision here with his armies. He's allowed Nerchio to break through on the right-hand side and the left, really. Yeah,
this is actually a really good split up here for Nerchio.
This is a very beautiful move.
Wow. Okay, he's going to do a lot of damage. Not only at this 3rd base. The Roach is technically in favor of Nerchio on that location. He's doing well in the main base. The natural, he killed off a lot of workers. 26 have died off so far. This is a good move.
Very good move. Using his supply advantage, splitting up in all 3 locations. And Stephano wasn't prepared for that.
I mean, nothing... Like, maybe there was 1 or 2 fungals on this left-hand side, but if you think about it, he completely negated the majority of those Infestors, because they just didn't do anything other than 1 or 2 fungals on that left side.
And that was a crippling blow. That was 30-odd drones. That was all his queens gone. He hardly has any production in terms of lava to be able to spend here. That was just a very beautiful attack there from Nerchio. Very nice. He obviously was realizing that he cannot headbutt anymore with Stephano, and he would probably lose the fight quite convincingly. So he spreads up in 3 and makes that work. And now he's using these 4 hatcheries of his own. And he's coming for a kill. He'll fight heads up now. He knows that he's in such a position where it doesn't matter anymore. Even if he lost every single Roach there, he has more than enough to reinforce.
Yeah, a few Roaches got right on top of those Infestors as well, negating exactly what they could do. And just Roaches and Roaches pile across the map here for Nerchio. A very, very well thought out game, I would say, from Stephano in terms of the defense. But in the end, The mind of Nerchio perseveres with the tunneling claws. It was just a great split. GG.
Well done. And it is tied up, and we will go to the third map again between these two players. Now, I'm quite interested to see what that third map is going to be.
Yeah.
We definitely thought we'd see Swarm Host come out from Stephano there, but it seemed like he never had an opportunity to. And Nerchio was able to power through with, as you can say, another advantage that he gains in the early to mid game, and was able to maintain it again.
Yep. So good mid-game aggression. Very, very good mid-game aggression. But now we're just going to wait on the third map, and I'm curious as well what it's going to be. Way Station, I believe.
I'm just loading into it now.
Yeah.
It is Way Station.
Okay. First map for WCS Europe here. Welcome, Way Station, to Premier League.
Yes, correct, correct. This map, I'm interested to see how this is going to play out, because usually in a mirror matchup, you don't really see that much of a strategical difference here. And I think that if we're going to see Swarm Hosts on the other maps, we're going to see Swarm Hosts here.
Yeah. Yep.
And the one thing is, if they play on this map, is the map where wherever you spawn, your opponent is always opposite, the complete opposite side of the other side of the map, the opposite side of the map. So there's 2 spawning locations, so it means you have 2 places to fight your opponent in. The longer one is going to be the more difficult one for Nerchio, which would be top left versus bottom right, because obviously they're further away from each other, which would help Stephano. If they play from bottom left to top right, it's smaller, and I think that's going to be more favorable towards Nerchio in this series.
And with the way in which the spawning locations work out, they are 2 entirely different maps in terms of how everything is completely orchestrated. That's the correct map, Stephano is asking, and I believe it is, because the last 2 were Overgrowth and Way Station during the veto process. So now we're going right into things.
So depending on where they spawn, can definitely kind of tell us a little bit more about how this is going to shape up, because it's going to be even easier for Nerchio, or it could be even harder for him to try and get his goals achieved.
Imagine, though, if, like, somehow... oh, well. Doesn't really matter. Let's jump into it, as we now have our spawning locations confirmed here. So, without further ado, we shall jump into game number 3. The winner advances on to the round of 16. As we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner, our blue Zerg, it is EG Stephano. And up to the top left, we have our red Zerg, it's Acer Nerchio.
So who is it? Who's going to go through? If you think about it now, there's just this single map, 10, 15, 20, 2 hours worth of time to decide who is that player. Who will join Welmu, who has been very consistent and performing very, very well recently. Who will join him? Unfortunately, we saw a 10-player go out today. If you're just joining us now, we saw the Muslim leave us in last place. Just dropped down to Challenger. One of these players will also go down to Challenger. Is Stephano's miracle run going to happen for him here? Is he going to be able to go from completely nothing all the way through to the round of 16 and maybe higher in the WCS?
I mean, even round of 32 for someone who's not playing is... How much money is it? It's pretty good, right? It's like 1,500, 2,000, something.
Yeah.
So, and then it gets, the step-ups are pretty good from there on out.
It's 2,000 and then steps up to 3 and then higher and higher.
So good money, even just for qualifying for the round of 32. Never mind anything else, but anyway. It's going to be spawning pool versus spawning pool. So despite it being the super long positions, nobody's willing to go for that hatch first. Kind of playing the meta game of like, oh, well, you know, you think it's long positions. Well, I think that you might try and go for an early pool or something like that. Doesn't want to get caught off guard.
The epic music to decide this. I think there are a lot of good players who will advance into the round of 16 who will be looking at these two as targets, by the way, that they will want in their groups.
Oh, yeah, I think so as well, now that you bring that up.
MC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stardust. And then maybe a couple of others up there too. But those two players just stand out saying, I will take Stephano. I will take Nerchio. Those would love to play these players. So even though one of these players will make it into the round of 16, it's going to be difficult. Like I said, this is going to be one of the best seasons that we've had in WCS. So do make sure to check out every single day we have in the round of 32 to follow the tournament as we progress. We do have another day on Thursday, 2 days from now, if you did not know, which will be Group B. And then, of course, we'll be back next week once again. And we'll try to track Snoot's progress on Thursday, see if he can do well in a couple of days.
And that is very interesting in itself because Snoot right now is staking a claim as best non-Korean, in my opinion.
Yes, he is.
So it's very, with the amount of Koreans that we have here as well in WCS Europe now, the most since the system began, Snoot could be one of those guys to take out some.
All right, so identical builds pretty much here when it comes to what they're going for. But one thing is that Stephano's either forgotten to get Zergling speed or had something really crazy planned. But he does get it just a little bit later on. So overall, very similar. But Nerchio's a little bit in the lead because he's just been a bit more clean with the way that he's playing it out. As in, he hasn't made the same mistakes. Stephano seems to have gotten an Overlord too soon here. He's building another Overlord for a reason I'm not too sure. Maybe he's trying to open up a supply for a potential attack already, which is kind of crazy. But Nerchio just seems to have played this early part of the mechanical stage of his own build better.
Yep. So a nice little incremental advantage here for Nerchio in game number 3, which comes back to what we were saying before, right? Every single game, Nerchio has always had those little advantages, and they've already started to stack up here in game number 1.
Yeah, second gas taken already by Nerchio, so looking to shoot up a little bit more in terms of his tech and move this game forward past the very early stage.
And these Ling skirmishes keep continuing in the middle of the map, but with speed done now.
Saying that, he's going to use that second gas for a higher Baneling count. 18 Lings coming in for Nerchio. All right, he's going to ramp this up a little bit, and Stephano's defense best be ready because he's already losing units in the middle of the map. And remember, this is pretty much identical builds, and he's just thrown away a lot of Lings that he shouldn't have had if he'd started that Zergling speed earlier. Small mistakes like that will cost you everything, especially when an opponent is coming across the other side of the map to come and kill you.
And it's been seen. He does have a few Banelings morphing in here, but he realized that those were morphing in, so he's going to try and bring those down. Forces the cancellation and gets the kill on those.
All right, well, Stephano needs some defensive units here. He needs defensive Banelings and a Spine. There's a lot of units coming across the map now, and this is Nerchio's opportunity. Stephano's supply capped. He cannot build any more units here, and he looks like he's made a couple of mistakes that have slowed him down here, but he does find those units morphing, and that is a nice little fight that he took.
And I mean, that's the time he has to buy, right? If you can stop these Banelings morphing in, which he somehow keeps finding. There's 2, though, more now on the way. There's 4 morphing behind that, 2 morphing in for Stephano.
Stephano's confident. He's got the layer coming in, an evolution chamber for a part-off wall. He's got an extra gas being taken. He's building drones.
Spinecrawler's about to finish. That's going to help out this defense quite a lot.
He's not taking Nerchio serious.
That's a lot of... Look how many Banelings Nerchio has behind this. He has 12. Well, a few less now, but that's because everything's crashing into one another. A few more Lings on the way.
Oh, that was a really good detonation there.
Okay, those Lings get through. Those Lings get through. They are in the main. They're going to do quite a bit of work. There's also a Baneling here, which could get focused down, but the Queen is going to fall.
That Stephano did not take this serious whatsoever. Lair on the way. That could be game-ending. He just took a severe loss to his drone line. 10, 12, 15-odd drones difference, and Stephano was not ready. He made a couple of mistakes with his build, and now he's taken the hits for it.
Yeah, a few more Banelings morphing in. These Lings, eventually for Stephano, should be able to try and push this away. But in the end, the damage has been done. This is a little bit of a catastrophe here for Stephano.
And this just shows you cannot lose focus at any point throughout a series here. And it seems like Stephano lost it for a moment and now is paying for it as Nerchio's in fine position here at the moment. He's got his lair on his way. He's got +1 attack on the way. He's got another assault coming in. And Stephano is down by half the economy. That is huge.
Especially when you're in a really scrappy all-out war like this with Lings and Banelings. If your opponent has just more Banelings coming in, then what are you going to do? Technically, he has a lot of gas to be able to morph in, plenty more, as long as that mineral income just sits around for a while. So how do you deal with that many Banelings?
Well, he's going to have to build this wall, and he's going to have to play very defensive, cutting down on the defense itself in terms of physical units, and just increasing his economy and getting back into this game. We're going to have to see Swarm Host, man. There is nothing else that Stephano can use to get back in this game. He has to use Swarm Host. He has to make sure he doesn't die. And Nerchio does not want to use Swarm Host. He's got double Evolution Chamber. it would not surprise me if he drone quite nicely up towards that third base. 56 to 36 it was just now in terms of drones.
I mean, the Roach Warren finishing up here for Nerchio with 1-1. I think that he could probably just push with 1-1 and completely kill him off.
This is, right now, I'm thinking of Stephano in Paris, or wherever he is right now, in Belgium, sitting there meditating to the Swarm Host because he needs it right now.
Yeah.
This is the only way he's going to get really back into this game. Because if he tries to play Roach Hydra, tries to play anything else, which is a standard composition, a standard army to build, Nerchio has it already, he has better upgrades for it, and has a better economy, which means he can build more and has more money to spend. There is no way Stephano can really win in an equal fight. He needs to take it to a different army.
Absolutely. There's a few more Lings on the way here for Nerchio as well, as even Banelings. I mean, all he has to do, even if this was just in a defensive posture, in a defensive mindset for him, like, it doesn't matter. He could use these as aggressive positions as well and just continue pushing. Stephano's really in a tight bind.
Yeah, 5 Roaches because he just lost all his Lings and Banelings there. He wasn't building anything for a long time, and here comes the Enduring Locust upgrades. Nice hit there. Nerchio now in the driving seat for this series. Not much of a better economy, by the way.
He wants to deliver the coup de grace. This is
better production. And this is where the Swarm Host count needs to rise. Okay, so Nerchio's probably going to play out the plan of Stephano must take a third soon. He has to, right? This is where I will kill him. That kind of plan. He's getting Hydra speed over Hydra range. So that means they can get over there fast. He does not want to let this count rise of Swarm Host. He does not want to allow Stephano to take a third. But right now, it's up to Nerchio. Yep, Stephano's kind of starting to realize that this is not the best position to be in. And I think Nerchio knows exactly what Stephano's going to do. It's like they're commentating the game for us.
That's why I'm silent, man. I'm just letting him do it.
That's the last option. Otherwise, Stephano's out of Premier League. He's going to be knocked out by Nerchio. All right. This is it. This is it.
I was about to say, ever the drama queen. This is the end.
This is it.
But yeah, this is it, man. These Swarm Hosts are going to have to do a lot of work. A lot of work. You know what would be so cool is if Stephano now is like, I think you're making Hydralisks. Just, you know, I think you're making Hydralisks. And he went, instead of a load of Swarm Hosts, he somehow eked out Pneumatized Carapace and Ventral Saxum and dropped Banelings on those Hydralisks. But none of this is ever going to happen because he's just going Swarm Host. Anyway. It's not enough Swarm Hosts, man. I don't think it's enough Swarm Hosts.
163 supply to 116. The third base is now going to be attempted to be taken from Stephano. This is the prime opportunity for Nerchio to do this. He's morphing in a couple of Banelings, which I do like as a nice addition. They do just, you know, spray down the Locusts, which are now allow the Roach and Hydras to get in. And here it is. So Nerchio's going to put the pressure on. He's got great upgrades for these units as well.
Yep, Locusts with the Roaches trying to move forwards, but against this Roach Hydra army that we're seeing, he separates a few forwards as well to try and catch some of these Swarm Hosts. Good transfuses there by Stephano. Hold that on, but whilst all this is happening, his third base was denied.
Yes, it was, and that was important for this game, as we've said time and time again. And Nerchio is powering through this. The defense is dropping incredibly fast.
The deconstruction crew is here. They come up to wreck Stephano's home. And these Swarm Hosts, they don't want to leave, but unfortunately for them, they're going to have to very, very soon. Nerchio, he has overwhelming numbers. And
yeah, I mean, the Locusts are just getting destroyed as soon as they pop here.
Yeah.
He's on top of the Swarm Host. This is not what Stephano wanted today. And Nerchio is dealing the damage. He's on a great economy. He's got a great army. And well, Nerchio is in a good position. He's like, they are powerful. Yes, it's not so easy to break. And I think it's safe to say that Stephano cannot almost be killed on 2 bases, but you must not let him take a third, and you need to keep on proving your own setup, your own infrastructure here, more so than trying to end the game straight away.
Yeah, 108 army supply against 79. Here comes the Bulldozer once again to try and push through the middle of Stephano's infrastructure and position, but it's still going to be a hard-fought battle against these Locusts that are trying to hold on.
Especially when there's 17 Swarm Hosts, by the way.
Yeah.
Transfuses going on to keep them alive for a little bit longer as well. He's breaking through a little. That was 17 Swarm Hosts. It's now down to, wait, 15.
Oh, okay.
13. They are dropping, but he is losing a lot at the same time. Stephano holds on again. And I feel like this is, you know, a fight between two boxers, and one is on the ropes and is being absolutely hammered into, but still keeps sticking in and keeps on fighting.
Yeah. It's Burrow and Burrow on the way now for both of these players. As he's just going to separate a few of these units up towards the ramp. This is a great move for him. Stephano continuously transfusing some of these Swarm Hosts and keeping some alive, but
it's now
down
10.
to 10.
3 more about to pop out, so he's definitely holding on. The supplies are evening up because this is a lot of units being thrown, and I'm pretty sure the units or the resource loss tab is in favor of Stephano. He's trading more efficiently, obviously. You know, 3,000-4,000 difference.
And it was actually kind of scaling towards Stephano as those engagements were going on as well. So
Nerchio is going to keep on doing this. He's expanding again. We'll rebuild the army again and then do it again. You keep on doing the same thing because eventually Stephano's going to run out of money. He cannot keep replenishing the losses. So ideally, in Stephano's position, he needs to reach a Swarm Host count where he doesn't lose any anymore, where the Locusts are everything, which it wasn't 17. It needs to be a little bit higher than that. He's going up to 19, so that's 2 more, which means that he's going to start to be able to keep the Locusts in front, which means he may not start to lose Swarm Hosts, which is where the cost efficiency really comes in with these units.
It becomes so exponential. You're right. It kind of scales out of control for Nerchio to deal with. Once it hits those numbers, breaking the Locusts is all the harder. And eventually, Stephano might be able to bust out of here once again and establish another base. Stephano is not afraid of pushing this on to the very, 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 very late game. So, you know, we could be here for a while still if Stephano wants to continue on. But this is such a strong army from Nerchio.
The thing is, though, Stephano's climbing up and up in supply. The higher he gets towards the overall goal, which is 200, the better shape he's in.
Yeah.
So just keep that in the back of your mind, because the closer he gets to that count, the worse and the harder it's going to be for Nerchio to actually stop that army of 200 supply. Unless he does something crazy like the Mueller switch or you know, something like that, because this is something which isn't really defendable.
I mean, this has been a 4-base Roach Hydra bulldozer trying to push through a 2-base Swarm Host entrenched spot, and it just can't get through. He's just unable to. The trades have been too hard for him. But again, you have to commend Stephano for the way in which he sets it up. If he didn't have the Spore Crawlers all here, if he didn't have the Queens there for the transfuses, these are intrinsic parts of this composition that Stephano has crafted well to keep holding on.
Well, it looks like the Stephano is getting closer to that 3rd base.
Yeah.
And he's at 160 supply now.
Vipers for Nerchio.
So, Ventral Sacs as well. Interesting upgrade coming in. The first thing that I see in my head is I'm still, whenever I see Ventral Sacs, like drop on these Swarm Hosts. But then combining that with Blinding Cloud could be nice, I guess. Because obviously then the Locusts can't do anything to the units that are attacking.
I mean, alternatively, you drop the Blinding Clouds on the Spores and the Queens, and then you drop on, right? And then try and make sure that your Overlords
a couple of
get in
combos
there.
You can try.
Yeah, there are a few.
But Stephano's about to take a 3rd, which is
finished.
Yeah, it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's a very, very bad thing here for Nerchio. Does not want to allow that to happen.
Is he going to?
So he's like, this is not good. I don't take the 3rd. But from this position,
I
don't know what he's going to say next.
Pardon? It's in production.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
He's like, yeah, but I built it, but I can't see it.
Is it not advancing? I wonder if it's not advancing from here. It is advancing.
I don't know what he's on about.
He is. I'm tempted to just say, you are researching Ventral Sacs.
I don't know what that means.
No upgrade.
It's because you're already researching it, man.
Yeah, he didn't realize that. He just did it on autopilot, and now he just doesn't remember. Wow, that's...
Yes, you do. You're actually researching it. In a minute, it's going to pop up on the left side of his screen.
It's making.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, Nerchio. It's a bug. It's a bug, man. All right, he's pushing through once again, trying to get through here. What are you going to do? Okay, Blinding Clouds right on top of this so that he can actually negate these queens from doing a whole lot, but they just moved out of the Blinding Cloud, so... Okay. So he's going to keep going.
170 supply for Stephano. It's high.
Yeah, it is very, very high.
And the Swarmos are not getting touched anymore, remember? There is still an opportunity for Stephano to win this game.
There is. The resources lost is catastrophic here for Nerchio in comparison to Stephano.
He is hammering through. Okay, he's broken the Swarmos line finally.
There's not many transfuses
left. But there's a lot of more locusts. A pop out, and he only got 1 or 2 Swarmos.
Oh my.
All those units for Queens and 1 or 2 Swarmos. Stephano keeps 21 Swarmos. But remember this strategy of Nerchio, as much as that's ugly to watch, it is this over and over and over and over again. He will never stop hammering through. Every time he runs low on one base, he'll take another one. There's no way for Stephano currently, until he starts moving out with Burrow Roaches, to stop that.
And here we go with the tunneling claws now, looking to put on pressure. We didn't actually notice that this third base had died during that, so apologies for that. But that's important. Killing the economy off here is so important.
But Stephano's sneaking out with Roaches of his own as well, remember, on the left-hand side here. So
we saw how that worked before.
Stephano still has a little bit of minerals left, 40 to be exact on the natural, and he has 300 minerals in the bank. So that hatchery placement, once again, is the most important thing ever for Stephano to mine from.
Yeah.
He cannot build anything anymore until he starts mining from that base, which is why it's so important for Nerchio to hammer through every single time here.
Yeah, I mean...
And now it's 130 supply until 170. And Nerchio's getting frustrated.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I don't think he realizes how good of a position he's in after hammering over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Fixed win, you're winning. Technically, it's true. I mean, Stephano, you know, he's not going to... He's got no delusions about this.
Instead of 170 before.
Oh, look at this. He's actually sending a few of the... Oh, okay. I thought he was going to actually continue burrowing these through, but he actually is.
He is, but there's a spore there, and these are all getting shot down.
Difficult. All right, it's not going to work out too well, my friend. The Locust is going to continue holding on. I like the actual play of almost exclusively Roaches here because they can just tank a lot of this Locust fire and just keep trying to power on through. Blinding Clouds everywhere for him to try and get through all of this. But they were dying off to some of those spores. Now Blinding Clouds those as well.
Yeah, I think this may be it. He may be able to break through this one. And it looks like Stephano may be eliminated here. It's hard to call, obviously, because there's still Swarmos in the field. He's able to break into the economy of his opponent, so if he holds on, which he does for now.
23 Swarmos.
And he's still got 300 minerals in the bank, so he still has the option to build that.
Double the resources lost.
And he's in the economy of Nerchio. That is not good. I mean, Nerchio still has a lot of money, so he can build, oh god, 13 Swarmos of his own.
Oh, well.
Oh god. Here we go. Building 13 Swarmos of his own will allow Stephano to take the third, I think. But once again, after another big blow of army that Nerchio trades off, Stephano's now down to 115. So if you think about the last 3 fights, 170 to 130 to 110 now in supply.
And also, he lost a lot of queens. And the queens here with the transfuses have been so important and such a big, big part of this army that... killing those off as well, not only killing off Swarm Hosts, is a big deal here because, again, Stephano has no money.
No, he doesn't. And I think with Nerchio's statement about fix this was more so that, do I really need to be on 5 bases versus 2 with still not being able to kill you? Like, how do I stop this?
Yeah.
So sure, they are seemingly strong Swarm Hosts at the moment, as you can see in this game.
But that's when you're pushing up against them constantly, hammering right down that path and not really looking for extra avenues to exploit their immobility.
Stephanos like, aha, Swarm Hosts, hey? Nerchio's going to come around the right-hand side and drop on this base to stop. And that is, if he kills this base, Stephano actually cannot build another one. That's why he said the S word. Well, that's it. It's over. GG. Nerchio is the one to advance over Stephano, and he makes his way into the round of 16. And it is Stephano who finishes in 3rd place and does not make the miracle run that a lot of people were hoping to see today.
But it was close.
Very close.
It was close. It came down to one last map. And Stephano's Swarm Host for him at the end there didn't pay off.
No, it didn't. Nerchio, though, does move through with Wellmood. 2, some may say, players to make it into the round of 16 to our live show.
Yep. So congratulations to those 2 guys. And that means in just a little bit as well, we're going to hear from Mr. Nerchio going on to the round of 16. So join us after the break in just a little bit We're going to have our interview with the second place finisher in Group A here, Mr. Asa Nerchio. Okay, guys, welcome back to the World Championship Series Europe Premier League Season 2. As we now have our second place finisher from Group A on the line, it is Acer Nerchio. How are you doing, man?
Hello, I'm great, I guess, but tired.
Tired.
Long first day here for all of us. So I'm going to cut straight to the chase. What is your opinion on the Swarm Host unit?
Well, everybody knows I don't like it. I don't like to use it, but I was kind of forced to use it here. Well, I didn't actually face a lot of people playing Swarm Host on the ladder in ZVZ, so fighting something like that. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't require a lot of skill to use. I mean, it can be used by a skilled player in a good way, but it just doesn't make any sense that you can defend like 2 bases against 5 or something.
Do you think it's more of an issue in Zerg versus Zerg than it is in the other 2 matchups?
Yeah, probably it is, because in ZVZ you don't really have a way to deal with that, especially later when it gets established. You can't go air or anything like that, and Protoss, well, has ways to deal with it, and it doesn't really happen in ZVT unless somebody goes mech. But mech is a problem itself, so I guess Swarm Host is good versus that.
So you were saying that you felt forced into using Swarm Hosts on the merry-go-round game, if I recall correctly. Did you see no other option?
Yeah.
So like not to continue going Roach Hydra or something to that effect?
Well, as you could see in the last game, it doesn't really work that well. I mean, I can starve him to death, but it will take a lot of time. I could probably go Broodlords also with economy I had, but I felt it was a little bit risky because Broodlords take a long time to build. And there would be time where I would have like very few units and corruptors. So he would have a chance to establish a 3rd base. And if he defended well and he practices that style a lot and could get 5% time, well, then I would be in trouble even being ahead by a lot. So I decided to do something else.
To bulldoze through. So final question from me here. You've been very consistent within the Premier League. You're always in the Premier League. You're always getting really past the round of 32. Do you have any big goals? You hit top 8 last year. Do you have any goals for yourself throughout WCS this year? Are you looking to, maybe challenge for the top of the top here in the Premier League?
Well, I always aim to be consistent, and that's working out for me right now in tournaments, especially WCS. Maybe, these are not great results, top 8 or top 16 every time, but I'm quite satisfied with that. Although I'm trying my best every time. I'm playing quite well right now, I feel like. So maybe I could do something, but we'll have to see the draws later.
Yeah, one final question I'll sneak in there, sorry. Do you feel that not using Swarm Host as a part of your game, does that hinder you as a player, and does that hinder you from getting to the deeper stages of a tournament?
Well, it definitely does. As you could see, I was in big trouble against Stephano, even though I was ahead in almost every game. So it definitely does, especially if somebody knows that I don't really like Swarm Hosts, like Protoss players. But I probably not gonna use it ever. I mean, if they change it in some better way, probably yes. But in this state, it's yeah, my time is precious. As I said, I don't feel like doing it.
Fair play, fair play. All right, then, that pretty much wraps things up here, Nerchio. Is there anything you'd like to say or any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, thanks for cheering me over all the seasons of WCS. And thank you for the interview, I guess.
Awesome stuff.
All right, see you in Germany in a couple of weeks' time. Well,
yeah,
months'
see you there.
time.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that is Nerchio advancing through in 2nd place here in Group A. It was a long, hard-fought battle, but in the end, he made it work.
That's right, and that really does us for day number 1 here at the World Championship Series. A long day But a quite dynamic day for sure. We will be back on Thursday, the same time, same place, so 6 o'clock, and always at starcraft2.com/WCS. And we've got a pretty interesting group coming up. We've got Bling, who played really well in last season, was able to achieve a top 16 finish. We've got Mana, who returns back to the Premier League after a long stint away from the Premier League and is debuting for Team Liquid. We've got Kerr, who debuts in himself in the Premier League. And then we've got Snoot, a challenger for the entire thing. And of course, a challenger for a potential slot at the global finals at the end of the year.
If he keeps on this form, it's going to be good for him. All right, well, that does it for Group A today, and that does it for WCS Europe. It's been a pleasure casting for you. It's been a pleasure watching these games, and we shall see you on Thursday. Bye for now.